I want to talk about Raw and SmackDown real quick. I'm not reviewing them because, there's a pay-per-view tonight. It's kind of pointless now, but it's really just not worth your time or mine to get too deep into the shows from this past week. But there are a few things I wanted to get off my chest. One of those things being how unbelievably difficult it has gotten to sit through Monday Night Raw. And I know this has been a recurring theme for a while. This is not breaking news, but it just seems to be getting worse and worse. Even SmackDown, I gotta say, which generally is better than Raw, even SmackDown this week was a chore to sit through. But Monday Night Raw is just in a league of its own when it comes to boring, repetitive, uninspired television. And I look at the talent that they have on that roster, and I just ask myself, how? How can it be this bad, creatively speaking? How is it possible? How is it possible that this show opens with The Shield coming out to brawl with Braun Strowman and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal, just like they did to open the show the week before? How is it possible that we get Ziggler and McIntyre against the B team, just like we did the week before? How is it possible that we get Bobby Roode and Chad Gable against the Ascension, just like we did the week before, right on down to the exact same two people with the exact same finish? When the first half of that show was over, I thought I had accidentally pressed play on the DVR for the previous week's episode. And then I realized I already deleted the last week's episode. This is new. Why even bother watching? I put the Raw poll up on Twitter as I do every single week as soon as the show was over. I got almost 4,000 votes. You know, when you hear about these political polls before elections, they do these phone polls. They could be polling 300 people, 500 people, maybe 1,000. That's generally the sample size. I got 4,000 responses to this poll. Only 10% thumbs up. From those who watched, 56% of you said you did not even watch the show. SmackDown this week wasn't much better. 29% of you voted thumbs up, 15% thumbs down. Again, 56% of you did not even watch the show. That is remarkable consistency, by the way, on the number of people who did not bother watching either show. It just happened to fall that way for both shows this week, back to back. 56% did not watch. When 56% of people are not even making an effort to watch your show anymore, that's a problem. Kevin Owens, you have on this show, doing his best George Costanza impression. He quit on television a few weeks ago. He quit his job only to show up for work the very next week and give it the assist to Braun Strowman of all people. He comes out last Monday, he says, Baron Corbin called me up and begged me to come back and said I could do whatever I want. And I hate the Shield, and that's why I came out to help. So that's how they're now trying to spin this whole thing. If Kevin Owens can't be held responsible for his actions going forward, which is what he said Corbin promised him if he came back, then he should hide out underneath the ring tonight and cost Braun Strowman his Money in the Bank contract for all those months of abuse. He doesn't have a match on the show. He's got nothing better to do. At least that would make sense. Then on SmackDown, a rare Asuka sighting. I hear there's only 3 of them left in the world. They're on the endangered species list. And one of them is being held in captivity in catering on SmackDown. But there she was on Tuesday, in a backstage segment with Naomi talking about the Iconics, and Naomi tells her to feel the glow. And Asuka says, I go. Because you see, Asuka no speak English. That's funny. At least the Nakamura stuff really was funny because you knew he spoke English and he was only pretending because he was being a dick. But here we are. We knew this moment would come where they mocked Asuka's accent and they used her for comedy. Then she said some stuff in Japanese and Naomi thought she was talking about teriyaki. The WWE creative team, ladies and gentlemen, hard at work. What a year it has been for Asuka. After losing to Charlotte at WrestleMania, losing the streak, she feuds with Carmella, loses to Carmella, then goes missing, and finally reappears just in time to grab dinner at the Japanese steakhouse. 56% of you not watching the show. I can't imagine why. You know, Batista had a sad tweet this week. He tweeted that he wasn't invited to SmackDown 1000 next month, which is in his hometown of Washington, D.C. Now, it's still a month away. They could still invite him, but he's very upset by this. Why would he even want to be on this show? This is what happens when you get $1 billion for a TV deal. You have no incentive to change because you just made $1 billion. So why change anything? You know what else is worth $1 billion? The Cleveland Browns. And they're hard to watch too.